This video is designed to help you identify and graph the key features of linear equations. There are three things you need to keep in mind. The slope, which is the change in y divided by the change in x, or said another way, the ratio of vertical change to horizontal change. The y-intercept, which is the point at which the line touches the y-axis, and the x-intercept, the point at which the line touches the x-axis. The x-intercept is also known as the zero. Suppose you wanted to graph the equation y equals 2/5 x plus 1. The first thing you need to do is identify the y-intercept and plot it on the graph. Next, identify the slope, and recall that slope is a vertical change divided by horizontal change. This means that to find the next point, we should go up 2 units and over 5. Since 2 divided by 5 is equal to -2 divided by -5, we can count the slope to the left as well. Down 2 units and to the left 5. Admittedly, this picture is far from perfect, but it's enough to get the basic idea. Once you've got your y-intercept, a point to the right and a point to the left, you're ready to connect the dots and draw your line. Be sure to put arrows on the end to indicate that the line goes off in both directions forever. Lastly, we want to take note of the location of the zero, or the x-intercept, which is here, the contact point between the line and the x-axis. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit so we can take a closer look at the connection between the equation and its graph. Again, we start with the y-intercept. This is the location of the line when the value of x is equal to 0. Here I've used substitution for the value of x to find the value of y when x is equal to 0. 0 times 2/5 is 0, which means that when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1, and thus we have our y-intercept. We can do the same thing for the x-intercept, or any other point on the line for that matter, as long as we understand how to use the equation. Here I'm checking to see what happens to y when the value of x is equal to 1. 1 times 2/5 is 2/5, plus 1 is 1 2/5. Which in algebra we prefer to write as the improper fraction 7/5. So when x is equal to 1, y is equal to 7/5. Here's what happens when x is equal to -5. 2/5 times -5 is -2, plus 1 is equal to -1. So when x equals -5, y is equal to -1. You can plug in any value of x you want to figure out its corresponding value of y. But you can also plug in values of y to find a corresponding value of x. This is how we find the zero. This time, I'm going to plug in 0 in place of y and then solve for x. So 0 equals 2/5 x plus 1. To find our missing value of x, we apply what we know of solving equations. Subtract 1 from both sides, and then divide both sides by 2/5. Or said another way, multiply both sides by 5/2. On the right, the 5's cancel and the 2's cancel. On the left, 5/2 and -1 multiply to be -5/2. So the value of x when y equals 0 is -2.5, which fits the pattern of our line perfectly. It's never a bad idea to make a table of values, but when graphing a linear equation, you're only going to need 3. The y-intercept, one on the left of the y-intercept, and one on the right of the y-intercept. Then you can go track down your 0 using the equation. Here's our next example. Y equals -3x plus 2. First thing we do is identify the y-intercept, +2, and plot it on the graph. Now we can either use our slope to count out the next value, or we can use substitution in the equation. Take note that in this example, our slope is negative. That means that in this example, from left to right, our line will be heading down. When substituting values of x, it's usually best to use numbers close to 0, one positive and one negative. 3 times 2 is -6, plus 2 is -4, which means that when x is equal to 2, y is equal to -4. Now for a point to the left of 0, I'll try x equals -1. -3 times -1 is +3, plus 2 equals +5. So the value of y when x is equal to -1 is +5. Before we connect the dots, let's go looking for the 0. Remember, this time we're going to substitute in the value of y instead of the value of x, because the x-intercept is the value of x when y is equal to 0. Here, solving for x is easy. Subtract 2 from both sides, then divide both sides by -3. So when y equals 0, the value of x is 2/3, which means the location of our 0, or the x-intercept, is right about here, at 2/3 0. Now all we've got to do is connect the dots. Before summing up, we need to make a connection back to the slope. Remember, the slope is our vertical change, or the delta y, divided by the horizontal change, the delta x. Our slope triangle should give us a ratio of -3. The vertical change, or the difference between 5 and -4, is equal to +9. The horizontal change, or the difference between -1 and +2, is -3. So then the ratio of the vertical change to the horizontal change is 9 over -3. -3 divides into 9 -3 times. In summary, there are 3 things we need to remember when graphing linear functions. 1, the y-intercept. 2, the slope. And 3, the x-intercept, or the 0, which is best found with the equation, let y equal 0, and solve for x.